Hey everybody, this is Tyron Trice, and this is my final project for human behavior and environment. And I chose to do mine over the strengths perspective. So here it goes. I hope you can hear me. I've been having a lot of computer difficulties, so hope this one works. So the strength perspective is a perspective that which looks to empower the clients by highlighting their strengths and resources that they can use to achieve their goals. This means that a social worker should focus on the strengths rather than their core problems and issues. A social worker's goal when incorporating this perspective is to work to help the client realize the value that they have to offer and the skill set that they have to offer to complete their goals. The strengths perspective, the strength based approach has, I would say, 6 principles that you have to follow to be able to accurately incorporate this in your line of work. And one of the first principles that the strength based model offers is that every group, every person, and every organization has strength. So what that means is that a social worker must always believe that their client has some positive qualities, no matter how hard it is to see it. It is the social worker's job to show the client that they care about them and care about them, and that they have the ability to overcome their problems. So, example of this will be a social worker has a client and it's kind of hard to see their problems and it's kind of hard to see it, but they don't give up on their client. They keep going, they keep pushing with the client, and they keep looking until they find that strength that the client has and show the client that that this is a strength that they have, and they can use that to overcome the problems they have. The second principle is that it makes sure that you remember the past traumas and abuse that some challenges that clients may have. So it doesn't this perspective doesn't let you ignore those traumas and let you use and be cognizant of those traumas when working with the client, because those traumas have effects on the client today, and you should be wary of those and know how those can affect the client today and how those may hinder or improve the client's ability to achieve their goal. The third principle is assume that you don't. Oh wait, let me make sure I get this right. I'm kind of reading it. Assume that you don't know the potential that a client may have. So what that means is never cut a client off, never sell a client short. Always believe that they have room to grow and become bigger and develop more and become stronger and have a better chance of achieving their goal. And that's what that principle looks right there. The fourth principle is we work better to assist the client when working with them. So it means that we work with the client and we are able to achieve the goal better if we include the client in the thought process of working with them and let them know, hey, this is our thoughts on it. This is our thoughts on how we should achieve this goal. I think you should do this way, and it helps, it clues the client in and helps them understand why you have given them this task and why do you think that they can do this. So it's like allowing them to understand that the task, the goal that you want them to complete. The fifth principle is it provides all environments. It informs you that all environments have resources available to them. So when working with a client, sometimes they might present you with an environment that doesn't seem to have resources available to, like a highly poverty-stricken area or an area with lack of jobs, and you sometimes think like this area is just not good and cannot help the client in no way. So this principle kind of helps prevent you from thinking along those lines and work under the assumption that that the client's environment does have strengths, and you just have to look for them. It's kind of going back to to the previous, like you was having a hard time looking for the client strength. Now you got to look for the environments, the client's environment strength to try to help them achieve their goal. The sixth and last principle is people have the right to receive a care, to choose their caretaker, and understand the context of that care. So what that means is if a social worker and client relationship is not working and not beneficial to the client has the right to end it. If the client does not feel that he understands the context of why the social worker is giving him the specific care that the social worker is giving him, he has the right to end that care and move on and get a better or get a second opinion. He has that right, and that's just the sixth principle. The strengths perspective also offers a different levels of offers multiple approaches to apply this perspective. One of the approaches is get this. One of the approaches is implementing laughter in your sessions with the client. So what this means is don't be always to the point of focuses solely on the client issue. Realize that the client is more than their issues, and by implementing laughter, you kind of take a moment away, like from the issues, because they're constantly being talked about their problems and issues. So when you laugh or implement a joke or try to gain humor in the situation, it allows the client to know that you understand that they're more than their issues. Another approach is make sure the client knows that you as a social worker do not judge them and are not trying to fix them. The client should know that you are not trying to fix them, you're not trying to judge them, you are there to help them develop into a better person or achieve the goal that they have set for themselves or make their dream a reality. You don't want to have judgment. You don't want the client to think that you're passing judgment onto them, because they could become very irritated and angry at you, and you don't want that type of emotion, those specific emotions in the therapy session that you're trying to have with the client. You're trying to build a strong relationship, and with them knowing that you're not being judgmental to them, they can gain more trust for you and continue to create a strong relationship between the two. The next strategy is to incorporate the strengths approach is engage in activities that both you and the client enjoy. So you should look for similarities in between y'all hobbies and activities that y'all both enjoy, to try to pair with the client, to try to get the client to understand what it is that y'all have in common, because when y'all have stuff in common, that is way easier to have the client. When you have things in common, it's easier to get the client to relate to you and build a stronger relationship between the client. And when you have a stronger relationship, it increases the client's responding to your goals you have set out for them. So moving on from the approaches, we're gonna move on to some of the critiques and problems that the strength perspective have. So one of the most common critique is that some people feel like that the strength perspective ignores the real problem. So what I mean when I say ignores the real problem, that it highlights the strengths of the client, and by highlighting the strengths of the client, it's ignoring the real problem that the client has and the real issues that the client has. Another critique is sometimes you might have an irredeemable client. So these are the clients that sometimes are in the prison system and rightfully deserve to be there. They either was a serial killer, a rapist, a child pedophile, and they don't really have redeemable qualities. And when you try to evoke the strength perspective approach with these clients, you end up possibly dangerously empowering one of their dangerous qualities, because they have such little positive qualities about them. And the last negative I want to bring about this principle was, not this principle, this approach was, some people say that it kind of just renames the client's problems to make the client feel better about their problems, and which that can have some positives and negatives. And one of the negatives that can have is the client can take their renamed problems and don't take fault from it. So let's use an example: a person who has recently lost a child because they couldn't kick an addiction. That's their problem, and the strength perspective will rename that as, will focus on how they, it wouldn't rename it, it will focus on how they beat their addiction and now they're trying to get their kids back, how they can do that, instead of focusing on how they lost the kids and how they can work to, let me change that. I'm sorry. I'm going to explain it in a better way. I think I can explain that. So the strength approach works. The last critique I want to give you is, it's called rewording. And it rewords the client's issues or problems in a way that takes fault away from the client. And you don't want to take fault away from the client because you want to let the client know that he did make a mistake, and you want them to learn from that mistake. And when you use the strength perspective, you kind of taking that from the client because you reward it in such a way to where it all sounds positive. And I think that's a better example of that. And this has been my breakdown and my analysis of the strength perspective approach. I hope you like it. I'm signing off.